close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today my name is Usetale. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to draft the pattern for the making of this beautiful blouse that Miss Prudence is putting on. From the day I saw this video, I knew I was going to be recreating this blouse for myself, so I decided to share the process with you guys. So if you're interested in seeing how to make this beautiful blouse, keep on watching, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. For the making of the blouse, these are the materials I'm going to be making use of. I have stay here. I have it to be 2 years. I'm going to be ironing it to both the main fabric and the lining fabric. Then I have this fabric here I'm going to be using for the yoke. Unfortunately, I do not know the name of this fabric, so I just showed them the picture and they gave me something that looked very similar to it. So this is what I'm going to be using for the yoke. Then here I have the lining fabric I'm going to be using to lining the main fabric. Okay, then here I have the main fabric, which is a Mikado fabric. I have it to be 1 yard. If you have a bigger size, you'll be needing up to 1.5 to be able to make the blouse. So these are the materials, these are the fabrics that I'm going to be using to make the blouse. I'm also going to be making use of a zipper. So this is it, guys. I'm going to place the fabric aside now, then we draft it on the pattern paper. These are the measurements you're going to be needing to be able to draft out the pattern. Now I'm going to bring my pattern paper. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be ruling a line at the top here, which is going to serve as the starting line. After you are done ruling the line, now we are going to take the body measurement. Remember that it has yoke, so I'm going to be taking away the yoke before I take my measurement. So the yoke is going to be 6 inches long, so I'm going to place the 6 inches on the starting line. Then I'm going to take my measurement. So I'll measure down to the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline, and the full length of the blouse. So I'll come forward here and mark the same thing: the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline, and the full length of the blouse. I'm going to go ahead and connect these dots to create a straight line, just the way you see me doing. After you are done ruling, you're going to label the lines. Here is the chest line, the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline, and the full length of the blouse. After labeling, now the next thing is to create the bustier. To do that, I'm going to come to the bust line here. I'll be taking the nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. I'll take it on the bust line. I'll take the same thing on the under bust line, the same thing on the waistline, and the same thing on the full length line. So after marking it out like that, I'm going to connect the dots with a straight ruler to give me a straight line. Then after you are done doing that, now what I took here as the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, I will add extra 1 inch to it. Then I will take it on the chest line. So just make a mark, then you're going to connect it with your straight ruler just like this. Now after you are done doing that, the next thing you want to do is to come to the under bust line. I'm going to be going out from this line by 1.5 inches. If you're of a bigger size, you go out by 2 inches, and if you're of a smaller size, you go out by 1 inch. But for my case, I'm going to be using 1.5 inches. I'll mark the same thing on the waistline and the same thing on the full length line. I'm going to connect it with my straight ruler. So after you are done doing that, now I'm going to come to the under bust line again. I'll come in by 1/2 inch, the same thing on the waistline, then the same thing on the full length line, then you're going to connect it. So coming in by 1/2 inch is constant irrespective of your size. Okay, so after you are done doing that, now the next thing you want to do is I'm going to come to the bust line. I will come down from the bust line by 0.75 inch. It's not up to 1 inch. Okay, if you have a bigger size, you can use 1 inch. Then I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect from this line to meet that point that I came down by. So just watch very carefully what I'm doing. You're going to connect it just like this. Then after you are done doing that, now you will use your straight ruler to connect from this line to meet the point as well. So guys, after doing that, this is what you're going to have. Now the next thing to do is to come to the chest line here. I'm going to come in by 0.75 inch, then I will also go out by 0.75 inch. So after you are done doing that, then you're going to connect it to meet the bust line. So just go ahead and connect it like this. Then you will do the same thing to this other side. So after you are done doing that, this is what you're going to have. So just use your curve ruler to blend out this line. Now I'm going to be marking out this area here because we are going to be cutting it off. Okay, so all this area I marked out, we are going to cut them off. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to come to the chest line here. I will come down here by 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to be connecting it to meet this side just like this. So just place your curve ruler like this. Then you're going to connect it from this point out just like this. So after you are done doing that, now the next thing you want to do is to take your round body measurement. So I'm going to place my tape on this new line that I drew out. I'm going to take the round bust measurement divided by 4. Then I will measure this dart. Then I will add it to it. Then I will add extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So after doing that, you're going to come to the waistline. You will take your round waist measurement divided by 4. Measure the dart. You're going to add it to it. Then you will add extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. Now you come to the full length line. You're going to take your round hip measurement divided by 4. You're also going to measure the dart. You will add it to it. Then you add extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. Now you're going to be connecting these dots to give you your body shape. So just go ahead and use your ruler to connect it like this. Then you're going to connect it from the waist all the way to the full length, just like this. So guys, after you are done doing that, now I'm going to come to the hemline here. I will go up by 1/2 inch. I'm just going to connect it in a slanted form to meet this line here, just like this. Then you're going to shade it out because we are going to be cutting it off as well. So guys, this is it for the drafting. As for the shape that it has at the end of the blouse, we are going to be creating it later while we are sewing the blouse. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. After you are done cutting, this is what you're going to have it looking like. I'm going to label it. So this is the center front and this is the side front. So guys, this is it for the cutting of the front piece. I'm going to place it aside now. We work on the back. For the back piece, I already went ahead to roll out the necessary lines. So I have the zipper allowance. Here is the chest line. Here is the bust line. Here is the waistline. And here is the full length of the blouse. So what I did is I took away 6 inches for the yoke. I placed the 6 inches on the chest line. Then I measured to the bust line, the waistline, and the full length. The only line I don't have here is the under bust line because we don't need under bust line for the back piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and create the dart. I will come to the waistline. I'm going to take the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on the waistline. I'll take the same thing on the full length line. I'll take the same thing on the chest line as well. Now I'm going to, connect the dots to give me a straight line just like this. After you are done doing that, now you're going to come to the waistline again. So on this straight line, I will take 1/2 inch on both sides, 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Then I'm going to be connecting it in form of a dart to meet the full length line, just like this. Then we do the same thing, you connect it to meet the chest line. So after you are done doing that, you have successfully created that for the back piece. Now the next thing I want to do is I will come to the chest area here. Remember when I was drafting the front, I came down and I slope it, okay? So you remember when we were drafting the front piece, I came down by 1.5 inches and I slope it. Now I'm also going to be, coming down by that same 1.5 inches on the back piece. So I'll come down by that same 1.5 inches, but I'm going to be connecting it in form of a straight line. Okay, so this time around I'm just going to roll it out in form of a straight line. Now this area here I'm marking out, we are not going to be making use of it again. We are going to be cutting it off. Now our back piece is going to be here. So now the next thing I want to do is on this new line that I wrote, I'm going to take my round bust measurement divided by 4. I'll measure this little dart and add it to it. I will add extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. Then I will come to the waistline. I will take the round waist measurement divided by 4. I'll measure the dart. I will add it to it. I will add extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. I'll come to the full length line. I will take the round hip measurement divided by 4. I will add extra 1 inch to it for the sewing allowance. You can see we don't have any dart at the end there to add, so just add your sewing allowance, then go ahead and connect it. So connect it to meet the waist, then from the waist you connect it to meet the full length line. So guys, after you are done doing that, the same thing we did for the front, I'm going to be going up here by 1/2 inch and I will connect it in a slanted form to meet the dart line. Okay, so just shade it out because we are going to be cutting it off as well. Now I'm just going to extend this line out. So just go ahead and extend this line out. After doing that, I'll come to the waistline here. I'm going to be reducing here by 1/2 inch. So just mark 1/2 inch and you're going to connect it in a slanted form like this. Then you do the same thing, connect it to meet the full length line as well. So because I have reduced here by 1/2 inch, I'm also going to reduce the zipper allowance by 1/2 inch. Now this 1/2 inch that I'm cutting out of the waistline is to reduce zipper bulge. Okay, so when you do this, your blouse is not going to have any zipper bulge at the back. So guys, this is it for the drafting of the back piece. As for the shape, we are going to be creating the shape later while we are sewing. Okay, now go ahead and cut this out. After you are done cutting it out, this is what you're going to have. So you're going to label it the back piece. So this is it. This is the back piece and these other ones are the front pieces. Now I'm going to be using these pattern papers to cut on my fabric. So this is the main fabric and here is the lining fabric. But before I cut, I'm going to iron stay to the fabric. So I'll be ironing stay to both the main fabric and the lining fabric before I transfer my pattern papers to the fabric. Before doing that, I decided to separate the back piece. So it was initially a single piece, so I decided to cut out the dart and separate it into 2 because it's going to be easier to work with that way. Okay, so after separating it, then you go ahead and transfer your patterns to your fabric. So while you are transferring, make sure to give it 1/2 inch sewing allowance to all the sides. You can see how I am doing it, so just make sure you give it 1/2 inch allowance to all the sides. So guys, this is what I have after I was done transferring all the patterns to my fabric. You can see these are the front pieces and here I have the back pieces. So I gave it all the 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So this is the center front and you can see I cut it on fold there, but I added 1/2 inch round it here. The same thing to the side front and the same thing to the back pieces. So I also cut both the main fabric and the lining fabric, as you can see. So that is it guys. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be making notch where the under bust line is. So you can see I just marked it with my chalk, then I'm going to make notch on it. So you're going to do the same thing to this other one. So just place it together and make notch there. So these notches are very, very important. I'm also going to bring the back piece. I'm going to mark out where the zipper allowance starts from, and I'm also going to make a notch there. Okay, so just place it together and do the same thing here as well. So guys, after you are done doing this, now the next thing is to cut out the yoke. So I'm going to bring this fabric which I'm going to be using for the cutting of the yoke. So the first thing I'm going to do is I will fold it together just like this. So after you are done folding it together, this is what you're going to have it looking like. This folded edge here is going to be the shoulder. Okay, so that's going to be the shoulder. Now I'm going to cut out what I need. First of all, I'll just trim out this edge. Then after I'm done trimming, I'm going to take the width of the yoke. Know that the yoke is going to have pleating and elastic band to make it look like the way it looked. So there's going to be pleating here and there will be elastic band at the shoulder area. So I'm going to be cutting it out using 22 inches. I use 22 inches to cut it out. So I'll come here, I'll mark the same 22 inches. Here I have 22 inches. I'll also measure 22 inches here. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut a straight line. If you're of a bigger size, you can cut it using 25 inches, and if you're of a smaller size, you can cut it using 20 inches. Now I'm going to take the length of the yoke. The length of my yoke is 6 inches, but I'm going to be cutting it out now with 7 or 7.5 inches, okay? Because I don't want a situation whereby after cutting it, it will be too small later. So I'll just cut it out now using 7.5 inches. Later, if it is too long, I can always cut out of it before I sew it to my fabric. Okay, so after cutting, this is what you're going to have. This is going to be for one side of the yoke. I'm going to be placing that one on my fabric again to cut out another one that is going to be for the second side of the yoke. So just go ahead and use the first one to trace out another one. So right now you can see I have 2 of them. So let me show you guys how it is going to be. By the time I make pleatings here and I put elastic band at the top, it is going to look like this. Then the other one is also going to be like this. I pleat here, then I put elastic band at the top. Then this V area here is going to be the neck. So this V area you are seeing now is going to be the neck. So guys, that is it. That's how the yoke is going to be. Don't worry, you will get to see it while we are sewing it. So this is going to be for the yoke. So guys, this is it for the drafting and the cutting of all the pieces that we need. In my next video, I'm going to be joining all these pieces together to make this beautiful blouse. So this is the final look of the blouse. Can you see how nice it came out? It was so pretty, guys. So if you don't want to miss the sewing tutorial, do want to hit on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that when the video drops, you will be notified. Thank you so much, guys, for watching.